The giant question today, doomsday. What if McLeod goes to ARB, gets too much money, and you need to let someone go? Who is your cap casualty for the Edmonton Oilers? The two candidates, in my opinion, pretty obvious. Is it Brett Kulak or is it Warren Foegele? Aaron, I think I know your answer because you are the biggest Brett Kulak fan in the room. Not to say I don't like the player. I think he gives them a ton of very valuable minutes. Warren Foegele may be an easier of the two to let go just because you have some guys in the wings, whether it's a Raphael Lavoie, which happened while I was gone. I want to talk about that. Whether it's a Raphael Lavoie, Dylan Holloway can maybe take on a little bit more. You have some bottom six options there. You signed a piece like Drake Caggiula for $700K. It's probably Foegele, but is there an argument, if you have Bouchard back, that a blue line of Nurse, Ekholm, Ceci on the right side now, with Bouchard on the right side, Kate, your top four doesn't move, doesn't change, and you're running some combination of Broberg, Niemelainen, Desharnais as your 5, 6, 7. That's not that bad, and it keeps the depth scoring a little bit more intact. So maybe we'll put a poll up in the chat to get the answer to our Sherwood Ford Giant offseason question. If you had to let go of one, and keep in mind with Foegele, it might be a scenario where you're buying him out. Like you might not find a team who's just willing to throw their hand up and say, yep, I'll take that guy. Brett Kulak, you actually get something for Kulak if you trade him. So keep that in mind when you vote on it. Do you sacrifice Foegele or Kulak?
I'm putting it up.
Yeah, okay, cool. It'll be in the YouTube chat. You can all vote on it. Hit the like button while you vote too. What would your choice be? I think, again, in terms of positive impact on the team, you want to keep Kulak around. You want defensive depth. You know you're going to need 7, 8, 9 defensemen to get you through an NHL season. So you don't want to sacrifice one. You have enough forwards even with Foegele gone. But is there an argument of you could trade Kulak, potentially get a second or a third round pick, I think, in that transaction? And does that positive of bringing in an asset and getting the cap flexibility, does that offset the Foegele thing? I don't know. It's tough. Dangerous Wade is in and says, trade Ceci, sign Dumba. I am really surprised that Matt Dumba hasn't been picked up yet. I know he struggled at times in Minnesota, but to see him on the list of, he averaged north of 20 minutes a night. He's the only remaining free agent, RFA or UFA, who averaged more than 20 minutes a night last year. Offensive production isn't there with the guy. I think he has some deficiencies, and I don't view him as an upgrade on Cody Ceci all that much. I guess the question would be, if you think you can dump Ceci at his 3.25 and a team's going to take that whole thing off you, and then you can go sign Dumba for $2 million and save $1 million, and that covers the McLeod difference. If it happens, again, this is a doomsday kind of scenario. My response would be, who's taking Ceci then? Because then they could just go sign Matt Dumba and give him $3 million, outbid you, and then they don't have to bring in Cody Ceci. They can go get Dumba on a 1-year deal, less term, trial him, and then if they like him, re-sign him after that. So I like the line of thinking. I'm not sure who could be in that mix. Sergeant Battle says, it's Kulak, sadly. I want to see contract year Foegele. So do I. If it wasn't a contract year yet, it'd be Foegele. I think you'd have even harder time moving Foegele if he had 2 years left. So that's a bit of a tough part of this as well. Nuge Lover says, reliable D-men are harder to come by these days. I think that's fair, but I also think if you kept Philip Broberg throughout this entire offseason and didn't move on from him, you are clearly comfortable enough seeing what you got in him, or you clearly believe in him to some extent. And man, if in his draft plus 4 year at this point, I don't quite remember what it is. In his draft plus 4 year, if you still don't trust Philip Broberg to be your everyday third pairing defenseman on the left side in a very sheltered third pairing role, like Darnell Nurse and Matthias Ekholm are eating up a ton of those minutes. If you still don't trust Philip Broberg there, it goes back to the what are we doing with him kind of thing, right? Like, I've seen people, you put him in Bakersfield, let him play 20 minutes a night down there. He's been doing that. We're past that point. He's not that prospect anymore, right? Good and You says Broberg's going to take off. I take that as meaning you're voting to trade Brett Kulak in this, again, doomsday scenario. Foegele does control the vote right now. 62% Foegele at 62, Kulak in at 38%.